Has anyone ever told you that you need HM-181 training to ship or receive hazardous materials? If you have heard of HM-181, you might not have known what it meant at first. I didn't. If this is the first time you've seen it, you probably don't recognize it at all, but that's about to change. Because you're not alone if you're unsure what HM-181 means. And with a couple of key facts from this video, you're going to feel more confident joining the conversation the next time you hear it mentioned. So stick around to find out what HM-181 means to you and your business if you ship hazmat, and how it became shorthand for the hazmat employee training required by the U.S. Department of Transportation. Welcome back to Hazmat Shipping Essentials, the video series all about how to ship hazardous materials safely and legally in the United States. I'm Roger with Lion Technology, and hey, you heard it here first. The U.S. Department of Transportation creates a lot of regulations. Like many federal agencies, U.S. DOT typically works on dozens of rulemakings at a time about every sort of transportation issue, hazmat being just one of them. To keep all these rules straight, the agency assigns a code called a docket number to each one. Docket numbers also help industry stakeholders like us to track and respond to new hazmat regulations as they develop. HM-181 is one of these docket numbers. At one time, hazmat rulemakers at DOT reserved docket number 181 for rules that were part of a larger effort to simplify the hazardous materials regulations and align them with international standards. The HM stands for hazardous materials, and the 181 has no meaning. It's there for organization purposes. It's just a reference number. Starting in the 1980s, DOT published a series of proposals aimed at bringing domestic hazmat rules in line with global ones. DOT assigned these rules to docket number HM-181. Then, in 1990, came a mammoth final rule that completely overhauled the hazardous materials regulations. For that rule, DOT combined the earlier HM-181 proposals and threw in stuff from about a dozen other projects they'd been working on. The result was a rule hundreds of pages long that dramatically impacted every step of the hazmat shipping process. This final rule was tagged with a docket number, say it with me, HM-181, and this final rule was a big one. It gave us a lot of the core basics that we take for granted as part of the regulations today. Things like numbered hazard classes and divisions 1 through 9 and updated classification criteria to match. The adoption of performance-oriented specs for hazmat packaging meant that now bottles, boxes, drums, and so on used to ship hazmat had to withstand testing to simulate conditions like dropping and shaking. The rule changed how shippers communicate hazards too, with labels, placards, and shipping papers, and all of that just scratches the surface. Practically the entire HMR looked different after this. And if you were in the hazmat business at the time, it was your responsibility to relearn a lot of what you knew about the rules and maybe get your shipping team or even your whole organization up to speed with training. And during that time, if someone asked a question like, why did this rule change, or why do I need this training, or why are we using the metric system for this? The answer almost always pointed back to the rule HM-181. The regulations had changed so much, and for so many in the supply chain, that the nickname stuck, became industry jargon for the mandatory hazmat training and retraining needed to stay in compliance with rules that change so frequently. And the hazmat rules do change frequently. DOT did not stop updating the hazmat regulations in 1990. Requirements are added, revised, and removed all the time. That includes a rule about every 2 years to continue aligning the HMR with international standards, just like that 1990 rule did for the first time. These types of rules are no longer assigned to docket number HM-181 though. These days, PHMSA assigns harmonization rules to docket HM-215. That's why we got Rule HM-215-0 in 2020, 215P in 2022, and 215Q in effect as of May 2024. Will any of those docket numbers catch on the way HM-181 did? I'm guessing no, but time will tell. So, the next time you hear someone say HM-181, or you see it in an old training manual or in the name of a course, now you know. The docket number on its own is nothing to be intimidated by or waste brain space on, but because that number is linked to a rule with such a major impact, and that added so much to make hazmat transportation safer to this day, some still use it as a reference and probably will for the foreseeable future. At least until a bigger rule comes along, and that could be just around the corner. Thank you for taking some time to watch this video. To make sure you catch the next Hazmat Essentials video, subscribe to Lion's YouTube channel or follow us on social media. If you want more answers about hazmat and hazmat training right now, head to lion.com/hazmat for a link to a full FAQ page and a lot of other resources. Thank you again for sticking with me through the end of this video. I will see you in the next one.